GITS. You know, something I've been realising as of late is that when people think of Squigs, they only think of like this. Just a ball with a face, 2 legs and a bunch of teeth. Now, there's nothing wrong with a squig that looks like this. In fact, when I think of the purest concentrated form of the war that beats in the chest of every boy, this is quite a good facsimile of it if I do say so myself. I mean, what does an orc really need in order to be happy in life? Like, you need a way to get around and all that, and really all you need is 2 legs, don't really need much more than that. You need eyes to see so you can crump to get in front of you, but, you know, nothing fancy. And as they say, the nose knows. So, if you can't see for whatever reason, you might be able to smell the GITS. And as for being just a head with legs, well, being round is actually quite helpful. Not only is you not going to get stuck on things as much when you just run into the scrap, but if you fall down for whatever reason, you just kinda keep going forward, cause you can roll. I mean, told me, if you can find a good hill with a bunch of GITS down below you, you could just let gravity take you in a fight. No need to waste energy running, right? And finally, there's one thing that these kinds of Squigs has got that Orks treasure the most. These teeth. You don't see us going on about the importance of other extremities like arms and legs and hands or torsos, cause those things can be easily replaced. But teeth? Teeth is so valuable that it's what we use to buy and sell gubbins and shooters and buggies and things. And these Squigs, they's got all the teeth they ever need. And since they's got no concept of currency or economy regulation, they's is free to use their teeth to do whatever they want, which is usually biting and chewing on GITS. Bad tip, but yous ain't gonna find an orkoid that's more quick to a scrap like these kind of Squigs. But there's me problem. Most of you kids out there think that this is the only kind of squig there is. Like when you go looking for squiggly beast pictures, the only thing that you can find is the same kind of zogging squig. The ball with the teeth kind. And again, ain't nothing wrong with these little kids, but what a lot of you may not realise is there is dozens and dozens of squigs out there in the great green universe that, quite frankly, is actually more useful than these balls of teeth. Cause the one thing I think kids seem to forget is that Orks is logical. Humies ain't. Great case in point, when Big Boss Uftak Blackhawk was rained at Umi mechboard planet Hephaestus, he saw that the whole zogging planet was shiny made of metal. And when his right-hand knob Mogro asked, "Hey, why they do that anyway? Make their planets all shiny so you know they's got flashy stuff you might want, and then when you go to get it, they get all annoyed and tries to kill you." That's when Uftak responded knowingly, "That's the problem with humies. They ain't logical." So naturally, a lot of illogical humies would think that Squigs is nothing but this. But the reality of the situation is that Squigs is more than just attack squigs or bomb squigs or stopping squig-offs. It might amaze you humies to learn that when it comes to squigs, there's more of them out there that play a practical role in green society than squigs meant for just fighting. Which is what I was gonna tell you kids about me favorite 5 squigs that do more than just fight. You little kids needs to remember these squigs, cause these is the reason that we's can focus on fighting, instead of worrying about other stuff that ain't fighting. Alright, so the first squig that I think is the most practical and important for everyday boys is the Chewin squig. Reason being, because it helps with the one thing that every orc needs helping with, thinking. Some orcs needs to think, what others don't. Odd boys like big mechs and pain boys and runters, they got to use their thinking meat more than any other boys. Because if they can think better, they can do better what they likes to do. Whether it be a mech trying to make a stomper, or a pain boy trying to figure out the next head transplant, or if a runner needs to be remembering the great orky tales to tell the boys. They needs to do the thinking. But non-odd boys like Slugger boys and Shooter boys and even some of the war bosses typically don't need to think that much. Instead, the only thing that they's concerning themselves about is getting to the next big fight. And if you spend too much time thinking, then you ain't gonna get to that next fight as fast as you possibly can. Thinking is all boys' work. So, you got the conundrum of either needing to think more or think less. And the Chewin Squig is the best thing for either situation. See, Chewin Squigs, well, this is like a kind of gob squig, except it really is chewy and really durable. Now, normally you'd find that they ain't really good for all that much, but some brainy boy discovered that if you choose on a Chewin Squig, it really is good for thinking. Cause when you choose it, the act of chewing helps you take mind off of things you don't need to think about. And our boy chewing a Chewin Squig will be able to think better about the next big project that they wants to work on, rather than how annoyed that they is because their war boss wanted their personal coconut last week. And as for regular boys and war bosses, chewing on a Chewin Squig helps their minds not think too hard, cause Days is enjoying the therapeutic art of doing something basic. Just by chewing, the brain is subconsciously relaxing, cause that one thing that they's been focused on right now is chewing. So, no boy better forget about their Chewin Squig, cause while nothing beats a pain boy with helping your body, Chewin Squigs is the one thing that helps your mind. And since I brought them up, let's talk about gob squigs. Now, as many of you know, Orks eats lots of different things. We eat zoomies, we eat scrots, we eat snotlings, we eat eating squigs, we eat shrooms. I mean, Orks will eat just about anything. So, with such a wide variety of culinary options, it's common for lots and lots of nasty things to get stuck in your teeth, right? And remember, to Orks, teeth is the most valuable thing that we's got. A boy with rotten teeth might as well have a gob full of squig drops. So, every right-minded boy wants to keep their teeth proper like. That's where the gob squig comes in. While you homies is using... what the zog even is this? A stick with a prickly squig at the end? Whatever. You homies use this thing to scrape your teeth twice a day. And then you got to use that string to grind in between them after that. And then you got to use that green dental juice after that. For Orks, it's so much more simple. See, you grab yourself a gob squig and you toss it right into your gob. And after that, you ain't got to worry about nothing, cause that gob squig goes from one tooth to the other and cleans it all up by eating whatever might be stuck between them or on them. Now, if some noble big boss comes around and knock your teeth out of your gob so they can buy a new shooter, well, YOUS is a bit out of luck there. But when it comes to right and proper maintenance to maintain all that healthy yellow sparkle of your chompers, there ain't nothing that beats a gob squig. Now, the next practical squig is one that I know a lot of you kids have heard of, the hairy squig. But see, there's a lot about these simple little runts that you probably don't know about. Sure, these squigs is the ultimate in accessorization for Orks. I mean, jeez, War Boss Gargaz's Teeth Grabber fought through an entire Goths camp, a Umi base, a hive city, and an Ork cruiser, fighting Orks, Knobs, Umis, Big Umis, tanks, bugs, beakies, a tin boy whose yapper was as massive as his height, tiller cans, and even a Zolgan Stomper just to get his ass squeaked back. Now that's some Zolgan commitment right there. I know a lot of boys fancy themselves a massive crest of a hair squig, but, you know, I like to keep it simple. Just these three little ones on my face. Gives me just the right amount of flash and distinction, says I. Besides, with smaller hair squigs, it's easier to keep some dozy git from taking them. But what I bet you gits didn't know is that these here hair squigs do more than just accessorize. See, pain boys in particular love using these squigs right here as questionable treatment programs. So, let's say you took a Umi chain chomper to the face, right? Well, now you've got this bleeding hole and you can't close it yourself, right? So, what pain boys do is that they'll take these tiny hair squigs and let their little teeth chomp down on the wound to keep it shut. After that squig bite's good and tight, the pain boy twists the body off the top and the little git's head stays clamped down on the face of the boy. If there's any blood or other leaky bits coming out the wound, the hairy squig will eat it right up and keep the wound clean. Once the boy's face heals all up with a nice impressive scar, the dog pulls off the heads of the hairy squigs and done. an easy way to get a boy all nice and patched up. But that ain't all. See, some progressive paint boys found an even easier way to patch holes in boys. See, they take a similar hair squig, but these has got long and thin hair, right? And what they do is that they've got the squig biting one side of the wound and nibble their way onto the other side, pulling its long weedy body across. Then it goes back the other way, biting from the other side to the other side. As it do this, the body closes the wound and the hair squig will sit there eating whatever comes out of that closed wound after embedding itself in it. Again, keeping the wound nice and clean. So, by the time the wound's healed itself, the squig's got nothing left to eat, dies and dissolves away off the boy. Even more practical orky medical engineering at its finest. The next most practical squig that YOUS has got is the paint squig. And for bad moons like me, this one is especially important, cause this is where most of our flash comes from. I mean, all the clans has got their own colors of course, but if you can't see a bad moon mob coming from a mile away, then that mob is in some desperately need of more flesh. Now, while you homies got to gather up plants and smash them down and put them in water, and then you got to get a completely different talking thing to actually spread the paint around with paint squigs, all of them things is all rolled up into one little git. Now, first of all, you know what color the squigs is gonna make because it always looks like that color. Then, when you needs to paint, all you got to do is give them a bit of a squeeze. Not too much, mind, we ain't trying to pop them. And the best thing about them is that you don't need another fuzzy stick in order to spread the paint around. With the paint squig, as you squeeze, the paint squirts automatically on the little puff of the tail of the squig, and you can just paint your little orky heart away. Now, for as perfect as all that is, your paint squig can run out of paint. But rather than the Umi way of plant squashing and all that trouble, you can just get another paint squig of the same color while that empty one takes a kip to refill. Again, just remember not to squeeze too hard when using painting so they don't pop. And finally, YOUS comes to one of the most underrated squigs in all the Great Green, the Squigpipe. See, most boys these days, especially them youths, only wants to listen to rocker beats. I mean, it's mostly the goths' fault. Classless bunch of crop range they is, ain't got no appreciation for the finer things in life. Like TEEF and good eating squigs and TEEF and gold and oversized Dakka and TEEF and stompers and TEEF and... Sorry, what was I on about? Alright, Squigpipes. Now, this here squig is basically got the body of a bag with a whole lot of pipes coming out of them. You might even call it a butcher pipes in a bag. So, how you use this sogging thing is you hold it under your arm on one side, then you grab that long stick coming out of its face and blow into it with all your might. This inflates the squig's baggy body, then when the bag is full, you squeeze out air by pushing it against your body with your arm, making the air go out the long tube thingies on its back, and... Oh, simply delightful. Nothing else in the whole galaxy can make a more perfect sound than that. Now, these ain't the only practical squigs that there is when it comes to orks, but these right here is me favorite in terms of everyday practicality. Now, I might even talk about them other squigs someday, if you kids ask nice enough, but that's more or less the me favorite practical squigs that every boy should have, or at least know about, so don't you soggin' forget them. Remember, there's more to squigs than just the roly, toothy, leggy ones. There's just lots and lots of them out there that could even save your soggin' life. But that's all I got to say on the matter, so as always you little gits, sum up and zog off!